What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, and I was just doing a little thinking about liberals and all of these people running around trying to be social justice warriors, and they're talking about, I'm woke. And I said to myself, these are the most sleep awoke people I've ever seen. Is that even possible? Is it possible that they're all walking around sleepwalking? Is it possible that they have no idea that they are in a full-blown coma and yet accusing everybody else of being in a coma? When I look at people on the left and some of their arguments, some of their problems that they have, some of their protests and all of that stuff, I say to myself, these folk are protesting for nothing. They're mad for nothing. They walking around thinking I'm woke and the rest of you guys are asleep. And right now they're like this in a casket like a vampire, like whoop, 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 whoop. Big word, whoop, 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 whoop. Straight knocked out, REM sleep, rapid eye movement. And so it's kind of like when a person is always accusing somebody or something smells, not realizing that they are the toters of the stink. They're the ones walking around like, man, you smell that? Somebody up in here funky. Then they move over somewhere else. Where is that smell coming from? I mean, it's just all, somebody stink. And at the end of the day, they go, uh-oh, that's me. That's how I feel when I listen to people on the left try to tell us about how horrible things are right now in the United States and how racist things are and how non-in touch we are with this modern progressive philosophy and idea and inclusion and compassion and all that stuff. The things that they think they're woke over is the very thing that people in power on the left has them sleeping on. And they're walking right into a full-blown trap like this, straight up like the old school Frankenstein used to walk, and they have no idea that they're doing it. And the left, or at least the leadership, meaning the politicians, I'm meaning the liberal media, all of those people who have power and influence are the ones that are driving this mentality and brainwashing a lot of Americans to the point where they think it's noble to get on this cause to give up their own civil liberties, buy into a reality that ain't even real, walking around all day, every day, looking for problems. I got a friend of mine, he gets online and he sends me everything he can possibly send about Donald Trump, about injustice around the United States. And I'm thinking half of the stuff you're sending me isn't even applicable. You know, when you think about it on this scale, right now, the biggest thing, this very polarized in America right now because of Donald Trump. And look at all this racism and all this white power and nationalism. And I said to myself, out of 400 something million people running around in America, if we were to take a poll, and I ain't talking about people's interpretation of what they feel is racist, because when you've been programmed as a minority or even some white people to view everything about America through the lens of racism, sexism, discrimination, now you might misdiagnose some things. You know, you're sitting there like, man, for when I was in medical school, they told me everything I looked at was a cancer cell. And all of a sudden, you see something that's not, and you're like, it's a cancer cell. You're misdiagnosing things because you've been programmed that everything you see that appears to be injustice always stems back to racism, sexism. Maybe sometimes people just brought stuff on themselves. When you introduce this type of mentality into the public, you enable people. You bring out the worst side of them. You allow them to be sorry. That's what you do. I know some black people that I grew up with, and they will complain to me because they got fired. And I don't say nothing, but in my mind, I'm thinking, I know why you got fired. Because see, when I'm around you, all you do, whine, complain, you show up late, leave early at the job. You always telling me about how you get over. You always telling me about how everybody on the job, I be telling them about themselves and I ain't gonna take none of this mess. You tell me how you bring stuff home from your job to use it at your house. All of these things, that's why you got fired. But soon as somebody get fired, the first thing that pops up in their head, they fired me because I'm black. That's what it is. They ain't like me because they racist. And I'm thinking, could it be because you're just a lousy employee? I'm just wondering. But when you program a society to see everything through those lenses, you set up society for failure. And now all of a sudden, you can't tell what's real injustice and what isn't. You can't tell what's real racism, what's not. So if I was a fly on the wall, because see, I can't leave it up to the people. I'm talking about if you really had the chance to see everybody's life in America, in the process they go through within the course of a whole day, I bet you wouldn't come up with no more than about maybe 20,000 blatant signs of racism or discrimination out of 400 something million people. Maybe 20,000, and that's pushing it. I ain't talking about that. It's a gray area. I don't know if that was racist or not. I'm talking about full blown, like, yeah, I called you a bunch of bleep bleep, and I want you to know it. That's right. I'm not afraid of you. I'll tell you you're bleep bleep to your face. That type of racism. That's even pushing it. I have to break that scale of racism. I have to shrink it down from 20 to maybe 1,000 people in America in one day that experiences that type of blatant racism. If that. But yet you turn on the news and you see liberals diagnosing and prescribing racism for everything. The United States is so divided. Everything's worth a protest. We got to stop this injustice. We got to stop that injustice. All of these things creating problems that aren't problems. So then now you got a whole bunch of people running around the country that's telling everybody else that if you don't adopt this liberal mentality, this progressive mentality, then you're asleep, man, because we're woke. And the very people that are woke, the people on the right who see the diabolical scheme that's going on from the leaders on the left and that liberal media and entertainment industry, we see that stuff and we going, wow, that is crazy. That is the full-blown example of the pot calling the kettle black. Walking around full-blown sleep, but have no idea. And then accusing us of being asleep. It's crazy. You know, you can't make sense out of this nonsense. But anyway, I'm gonna keep trying. You've been listening to Kevin at Kevin's Corner. It's about to rain. But check me out every Wednesday night, 7:30 live in Kevin's Corner on YouTube and also on my radio blog talk show. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. Find me on Twitter, on Facebook. Links are in the bottom. You want to donate to Kevin at Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link in the bottom. Do that as well. And also check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. You'll love their products. They fresh. See, I had to take y'all back. They fresh. If you click on something you like, put my name in the promo code, you get a 20% discount. Thank you. See you next time at Kevin's Corner. God bless.